Hey guys, Harvey and Jill here, back to review another awesome movie. This time, the much anticipated Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which is a prequel of sorts to the Harry Potter franchise, and opened just this past Friday, so you're getting it pretty quickly, we'd like to think. But we do solemnly swear we are up to no good, as this review will be full of spoilers. Granted, we will not be giving away the ending, as there's quite a few interesting reveals and, definitely worth watching for yourself. But the lead up to this film, we will be discussing in full, as unlike many other trailers that are out nowadays that kind of give away the entire plot with the trailer, Fantastic Beasts has been pretty good about keeping a lid on what this film is actually about. So, generally we will be discussing how we get up to maybe the climax, but we're not going to give away anything else about that. So, as I said, this film is actually based in the Harry Potter world, but it's not technically part of the Harry Potter franchise in the sense of having Harry and Hermione and all that stuff, because it does take place way before all that in 1926. So, but it is based off of a Harry Potter book. The book being literally Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which is an actual textbook, I guess you would call it, from the Harry Potter franchise that Harry and Hermione and Ron obviously read while at Hogwarts. So J.K. Rowling wrote this from the point of view of Newt Scamander, who is the author of this book, and he is also our protagonist in this film, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Before we fully get into our story, the audience is introduced to the political climate of the magical world, which is that we are at the beginning of Gilbert Grindelwald's reign of terror in the 1920s. This dark wizard is tired of having the magical community hide from the muggles and no-mages, and is hoping to start a race war through his attacks on both the muggle and magical worlds. The people of the wizarding world have been able to keep Grindelwald's plans from the non-magical community, but at this point, no one knows where Grindelwald is or where he might strike next. So our actual story begins in 1926 New York, where magizoologist Newt Scamander has come after many years abroad studying magical creatures for his book. He carries with him a magical suitcase filled with dozens of these amazing creatures, one of which is a legendary thunderbird that he has saved from captivity, and now he hopes to return it to its natural habitat in the wilds of Arizona. However, around the same time as Newt's arrival, there has been a series of unexplained magical attacks destroying parts of the city. The Aurors of the Magical Congress of the United States of America, headed up by Auror Percival Graves, are searching tirelessly for the source of these attacks. These incidents of magic have gotten some attention of the Barebones family matriarch Mary Lou, who now runs the Second Salemers, a group of religious fanatics who want to start another witch trials to get rid of the witches and wizards that they believe to be living among them. Through a comedy of errors, Newt's briefcase gets switched with one belonging to a no-mage, Jacob Kowalski. Of course, Jacob accidentally opens the case and several of the creatures are set loose in New York. As a prominent no-mage political figure is killed by one of these unexplained magical attacks, and the Magical Congress then learns about Newt and his creatures, they are blamed for this tragedy. Newt, with the help of a disgraced Auror, Tina, her legiman's sister, Queenie, and the no-mage Jacob must recapture these animals to prove their innocence, or else both he and Tina face execution. In truth, what is causing these magical attacks is an obscurus, the physical representation of a witch's or wizard's magic when they have been forced to repress it for many years. As most obscurus hosts don't live past 10 years of age, Percival Graves believes that one of these many children that the Barebones have taken in, to help them spread their message, may be this obscurus. He enlists the help of the oldest Barebones son, Credence, to help find it. Newt's band of heroes, Graves, and the Magical Congress collide as the true host of the Obscurus is revealed, and they must all work to find a way to destroy it and save the host, before it can wreck the city and expose the wizarding world once and for all.
So, why else is this movie so awesome? So first off, visuals and settings, it's really amazing. They filmed a lot in Quebec because of, Old Quebec City and Montreal and all that kind of stuff. And it really works. So, it's also just really great to see the Wizarding World outside of England. And, things are quite different. Not just the terminology with them referring to non-magical people as no-mages instead of muggles, but, how they actually differ in culture, if you will. Now, with a title like Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, you better believe there's going to be some amazing magical creatures. And I loved seeing, this really pretty good array of them. Personally, I will say that like my favorites include the Niffler, which is this pretty cute black platypus thing that is more of a magpie, I would say, very attracted to gold and jewels and all this kind of stuff, and it stuffs it into its like magical pouch that it must be bigger on the inside because he seems to fit a lot of stuff in there. I also love the Thunderbird. It's very gorgeous and beautiful. I mean, it kind of looks like a griffin, but there's a bit more to it. And the Bowtruckle is so cute. He's kind of like a little walking stick, quite literally. But yeah, really amazing, beautiful creatures. There's a lot more. But I will say, while that is a big part of the film, there are other things that kind of overshadow it, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. So the other really big awesome thing about this entire film is the cast. I really have to say I almost liked every single character, really. So Harv, who was your favorite character? Yes, Eddie Redmayne as Newt Scamander is very charming. He really can't get past, a man who loves animals. Almost nothing kind of beats that, to be honest. Sorry, what was that? Harvey, if I could swing a date with Eddie Redmayne, do you think I'd still be trolling through profiles on Bumble? I don't think so. Besides, he's married, so give it up. So Redmayne plays the character as someone who would fall somewhere on the autistic spectrum. I mean, he doesn't make any eye contact. He has lots of trouble just dealing with people. He's very awkward. And he seems to be much more comfortable with magical creatures and animals than he is with other people. So it's really quite refreshing to see this kind of character as a protagonist and not just as like, oh, he's like the token weirdo or whatever. And it kind of normalizes these people who do deal with these. I don't know if I don't want to call them disorders because I don't really feel that way. But who are, I guess, not neuroatypical, if you will. So really quite refreshing to see that. So on the other hand, we also kind of get to see a bit more into the regular world, the world of the no-mages, through the character of Jacob Kowalski, who mostly just through this comedy of errors gets wrapped up with Newt and all of his, crazy creatures and trying to help him. Now, Kowalski is such a breath of fresh air. First of all, he's funny, he's very likable, but he's also a great surrogate for the audience because, he is actually getting introduced to magic for the first time. And unlike Harry, he's not part of it. But at the same time, he's not exactly jealous. I mean, he's amazed and he loves what he sees, but he never really seems to be angry that he's not a wizard or anything like that. And it's kind of great to see his wonder, to see his amazement, but to also see his heartbreak when he realizes that, he's not going to remember any of this. They are going to obliviate him at the end of all this, and every wonderful thing that he has experienced, it'll just go away. So, it is really heartbreaking, but it's really kind of, amazing to see. So we also have some awesome female leads with the disgraced Auror Tina, who, she is determined and compassionate. She's spunky, can easily hold herself in a wand duel, as we see near the end, and is very resourceful. But I do kind of feel she's a bit overshadowed by her sister, Queenie, who is introduced a little bit later in the film. So Queenie is a Legimens, and she is very strange. She can read your mind, but she's not cold or calculating. She's actually very dreamy, very, very Luna Lovegood-esque, if you will. So she's just a delight. She's always optimistic, very happy, even though, she hears and knows what everyone's thinking about her, which, being a beautiful woman, she kind of knows what men think of her. And, I'm pretty certain not everything is good. But it's just really adorable to see her, basically embrace her gift. And also, she and Jacob, who kind of get this budding romance going, it's really sweet and definitely one of the highlights of the movie. So, yeah, I ship it. Queenie and Jacob all the way. Now, while these heroes are a lot of fun and, they're very compelling, I also found that the kind of shadier characters within this world were a bit more intriguing. So Colin Farrell's Percival Graves keeps you guessing just what side is he on throughout a good chunk of the film. I mean, you see him comforting and supporting poor Credence, who has been mistreated by his family, or at least by his mother within the Second Salemers, but he's also using the young man as he wants information on just who this possible obscurus could be, because it's got to be one of these small children that the Second Salemers are looking after. So, you're kind of like, oh, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? We don't really know. But I'm not going to tell you. You have to find out for yourself. So, speaking of Credence, who is played by the very talented Ezra Miller, he actually is one of my favorite things about this film, and he is a very sympathetic character. There is this question about who or what he is that is a really pretty big mystery of this film, as you ask, is he a nomad? Is he a squib? Is he a wizard? So, you're not 100% sure what he is, and it's not given away until, probably the last 20, 30 minutes of the film, I believe. Anyway, what is clear about Credence's character is that he doesn't belong, unfortunately. It's really quite sad. Strangers call him a freak. His mother abuses him, usually when he tries to shield his possibly magically gifted sister from her wrath. So, as I said, he is very much a tragic figure, but one of my favorite things about this. So, lots of love for Credence. So, but there's still a lot of mystery that I don't want to talk about, and I'll leave it at that. So let's move on to themes, which are both pretty adult and pretty political as well. So the first one I want to mention is the idea of segregation. So unlike the Wizarding World of Europe, the Magical Congress of the United States of America is still a little behind the times, deeming that wizards and witches are forbidden from having relationships with no mages. So, they can't marry muggles and all this kind of stuff. So there's no half-bloods or anything like that, at least there's not supposed to be in the US of A. Now, while we can take this into consideration, we should give them props for being a lot more, I guess, forward thinking when it comes to gender and racial equality, as their president is actually a woman of color. So that's kind of cool. I mean, at least the USA got one female president. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, this kind of further heightens this tragedy between, Jacob and Queenie, as they are basically having this forbidden romance. They cannot be together. If they got married, it is illegal. So, there is this question of segregation. And it's kind of interesting to note that Gilbert Grindelwald, he's kind of fighting against this, as he doesn't want, wizards and witches to be in hiding. He wants them to be out and proud. He's very much the Magneto of this world, I guess. But he does think that no mages and muggles they should be subservient to wizards and witches, because wizards and witches are more powerful. So, yeah, while you can agree with him on, maybe having these wizards and witches be out and proud, how he goes about it is all wrong, as it would basically be a race war. Now, the next big theme that comes out is the damage that repression and, intolerance can really cause and bring to a person, not just, inside themselves, but to the community at large. So, this is all communicated through the idea of the Obscurus, which for me, as I said, is probably the most fascinating thing about this film, even though there are these amazing creatures and stuff like that. This Obscurus is really an amazing thing because it's a new idea of magic. So, this concept is big. It's kind of right up there with the ideas of Horcruxes, the Philosopher's Stone, and the Deathly Hallows. At least for me, because this is a very powerful and destructive magic. So why do I find this idea of the Obscurus so interesting? Well, the main thing is that there are some real life parallels that are going on right now, especially with the idea of LGBTQA community, especially the youth of that community, who have been kind of repressed by a strict or religious upbringing. And it's very, very destructive for these people to have to repress their true selves, their true gender identity, their true sexual orientation in order to fit in and to be, treated with respect. And, there's lots of, parallels you could pull with the idea of conversion therapy and how destructive that is. So I know there's a lot of people who are worried right now because of Mike Pence and his support for conversion therapy, which I think is horrible. Because, a lot of people don't make it through conversion therapy. It usually causes actual suicide. So the self-destruction that happens that we see in the Obscurus is very much in our real world. So that's my thoughts on it. I could go on, but I'm not going to. So overall, as I said, it's an entertaining movie. There's definitely some laughs, giggle juice. You'll know what it is when you see it. Uh, but there are flaws. The one thing I will kind of harp on a little bit is that this is a predominantly white cast. I mean, yes, the Magical Congress has a woman of color as their president, but her role within the actual film itself is pretty small, which is kind of disappointing. And there's, we do get to see other people of color within the Congress, but they have only maybe one or two lines tops. So yeah, a little bit more representation would be nice, especially seeing as it has been shown that the magical community doesn't have the same racial prejudices as they have people of color in power. So it'd be nice to see a bit more variety. So overall, this is a really awesome film. I mean, it opens up the world of Harry Potter even wider to the world of, North America and all of their kind of quirks and government and all this kind of stuff. There are going to be 5 films in this new franchise, so I'm excited. I mean, it's going to be a long trip, but I'm excited. We're going to get to see a young Dumbledore in the second film, so looking forward to that. And of course, we're going to be seeing a lot more of Gilbert Grindelwald as we get to watch his rise to power. So really excited to go and see that. Anyway, once again, I will say, go see the movie, enjoy yourselves, and we hope to see you again. Thanks for watching. Bye!